Let's look today in Salesforce at creating a new data type. So in Salesforce, you'd expect to be able to manage things like your opportunities, accounts, contact, and all that sort of information, but you can actually take it further depending on the level of account you have. Now, this is being done in a development edition, and this is in the newer, shinier looking Salesforce they've released. But let's take a look at how we might be able to create our own data type. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a data type called speakers. So this is as if we were running an events company and we want to be able to keep all of our speaker information in one place, which we're then going to use in future to be able to push out to our event websites. So let's go ahead into the setup area. And this is where we can configure our Salesforce installation. Now I'm going to go down here to Objects and Fields, and I'm going to go into Object Manager, and this is where I can start to create my new objects. Now you can see here your opportunity, your lead, all of these things are all classed as objects from within Salesforce. So we're going to go up here and create a new custom object, and we need to follow all of the prompts. So we're going to say speaker and write speakers as our plural. We can add in a description. I'm just going to put this is an example. And that description could be there for you and future developers as well, to allow for them to understand what's going on. Now, what you can do is if you're going to be doing things with your speakers, like tracking tasks against the speaker, maybe you need to get some information from them and all of that good stuff, then you can also allow activities to be related. You can also as well track field history. Now, these aren't essential, but if you do want to be able to have tasks against the speaker so you can continue to communicate with them and understand where you are at the process with them, then that would be a very, very good idea to select that. Now, this is in development. Obviously, you switch that to deployed when you're ready, and allowing search is also very good, especially if you're building up a very big list of speakers for your event company. And when I say speakers, remember, replace that with whatever data set that you want to associate with it as well. Now, it's very important as well that you make sure that you're adding the ability for notes and attachments. If you need those, you need to add that very early, well, essentially when you first create this. You can't come in and add those later. And also later on as well, you can add your tab, what's going to appear up here, so that people can get on with it and get into it. So let's save this custom object. Now we have our tab manager here. This is what we're taken into, and it gives us the ability now to select a color or a style. So let's go back in. Let's just drag this back over because I used a globe and that's not really appropriate. People will use that. That looks good. And we can choose whether or not we want alternative pages, etc. We're just going to go in straight through and continue. Now, visibility, depending on the structure of your organization, you might want this to only be visible to certain profiles. You can configure all of that as well. That's, I guess, a completely separate video. And here as well, we have control over the custom tabs, the availability, etc. So let's just save and continue. And here we have our brand new speaker object. Now, if we head back, we can see here that we've got our speakers tab, and we have absolutely no records. And if I was to try and create a new record, all you'll see is that I have speaker names. That's not very helpful yet. We at least have the data set, we've got the iconography, etc., the color scheme that we selected, but we do need to start building up some of the content that we want to be tracking in this custom object. So let's head back into the setup area. And we want to go back down again to Objects and Fields, and at this point now, we're going to be adding in all of our custom fields. So we go back into the Object Manager. We're going to scroll down to our speaker item. We have all of our information here with regards to what we can control. And we want to go first of all into the fields and relationships. By default, these are your standard fields that are created. And now we can add new fields in. So perhaps we've gone with speaker name, that's the first name and last name, but perhaps next we want to be able to create a job title field. So I'm going to go in here and click on new. And I can now select a type of field that I want to create. So in this case, I'm just going to go here for a text field. This is just a standard text input. It's going to allow me to input anything I want. So it could be a job title, name, any sort of text. And I've clicked next. Now we will type in company name. Job title, I was saying, wasn't I? Job title. And I can also limit the length. It's going to apply a standard length of, say, 255. We can add a description in here and some help text, which is always useful for people internally. So perhaps we'll say this is the job title of the speaker. And then let's say here, input the job title of the speaker. Now you can always make this required as well, which is useful, especially if you're integrating into third-party systems like an app, etc., and you need to be able to see what the job title is. You want to know that that's going to appear on the website as well. Now you can, for certain values in the future, if you need to, allow things to not be duplicate. So if you're using kind of ID numbers, etc., you can say do not allow duplicate values. Obviously in this case that is not appropriate. We don't need that at all. And now we can continue. So let's go next. This is essentially saying what is it going to be showing on. Let's just click next. We can deep dive into these into the future, but I'm trying to give you a very high level of how to create these custom objects. We've now saved. That's going to add it automatically to the speaker layout, and we can then press save and new field. And in this field I want to relate the the speaker to a brand new to a company, sorry. So to do that, we're going to go into new again, and this time we want to use a lookup relationship. Now in the lookup relationship, we'll want to select account. The account is where in our installation we're controlling all of the companies that we are working with, and then we'll press next. In here we could then say company name. And again, we could enter in some help text if we wanted to, and also we could require this as well, and then press, company name as an object speaker. Can only contain alpha. Okay, well let's just say account for now, for speed, for this demo, and then next, and save. Okay, so if we skip back now into the speaker area that we've created, we can take a look at how these are going to look. So if we press on new, we now have the speaker name, we have the job title, and we can also do a lookup for existing accounts that exist in here when we're creating this record. Now, other information that somebody might want to add to a speaker record might be some details like a short bio. So let's go back in here and click on new. And we're going to go and add in some rich text area. This is going to allow us, I think, about 130 something characters. In we go. Let's say our length is 32,000. That's going to be fine. We'll just say bio. Again, you could put in your text if you wish. Next, and save. Go back and refresh, and then we'll click on new again. And we will now see the new piece of information here. This is our biography area. And again, that's very useful, especially using the rich text option, because that's helpful if we're going to be importing this again into some sort of third-party website. So here we've created a new data object called speakers. And inside of it, we can start to add all of our new speakers so that we can track them centrally. You could literally do this with anything within your Salesforce CRM. It could be your CD collection, although obviously you shouldn't be spending that much money on a system to just match your CD collection. But this is very, very useful for custom data. Now, you can edit these objects. You can allow for reporting. So if you're going to be adding numbers and all sorts of other things in the future, you can do all sorts of stuff like that. But for initially just getting some data centrally so you can avoid using spreadsheets and you can have everything in one central location, this is a very good way to do that. What you can then do in the future, and we're going to unpack this in the future, is integrate then with third-party solutions. So the reason why I've used speakers in this example is so that I can give you a demo of how when you are running an event, you could maybe pull some of this speaker information into your event website automatically, which means your marketing team can be looking after the data within the CRM, and that would automatically be pushing through into your website. That's allowing you to streamline these sorts of processes. So keep your eye out for future videos.